So you guys are way down here in Los Angeles? Yeah, I'm way up here in Canada, a place called Calgary, Alberta. So up here today, is it hot where you guys are? Are you guys wearing shorts? Well, where I am, there's snow on the ground, and we're wearing toques on our heads. And this weekend, I get to go snowboarding in over 10 feet of snow. Yeah. All right, so we're talking about tornadoes. You guys want to get started?
Yeah!
All right, 1 second here.
Mr. Forbes, can I ask you a question? We just heard you say you have what on your head? We call them hats. What do you call them, and what are you wearing?
Oh, this is a hat. Where is? 1 second here. I'll show you. So this is a hat. This is what we call a toque. So when I go outside, this covers my head and my ears.
Okay. What do we call those, you guys? What do we call them?
Oh, okay. Call it toque. Did you know we also, what do you guys call a sweater that has a hood on it? Okay, I call it a bunny hug.
A bunny hug. Did you say bunny hug?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so cute.
That's the neon lights on the truck.
All right. Well, should we get started?
Yes.
All right. So today, we are here to talk about storms and tornadoes. Over the course of the next hour, I'm going to take you guys through storm chaser training. I'm going to show you guys everything I know, everything you need to know to be storm chasers. How's that sound? All right? All right. So my name is Ricky Forbes, and I'm a professional storm chaser. I've storm chasing now for 4 years full time, and I've seen 85 tornadoes in my lifetime so far. So there's only one professional storm chasing team in Canada, and that's us. That's the team I'm on. There's 2 professional storm chasing teams in the United States, and that's it for the world. There's only 3 professional storm chasing teams in the world. So I'm on the only team from Canada, and I'm the driver for that team. We call ourselves the Tornado Hunters, and I'm the driver for them. You can see me there in that picture. And my job is to get my team as close as we can to tornadoes like those out the window and get them back out safely. When I'm not driving for the team, I'm a bit of a computer geek, so I'm working on our computers, fixing our weather radars, and keeping a handle on that stuff. And if I'm not doing all that, I'm here, I'm talking to you guys, I'm in the classrooms, chatting about tornadoes. And if I'm not doing all of that, I love to get out and go skiing, snowboarding, dirt biking. But instead of telling you guys about it, I put together a video I wanted to show you. So that's a little bit about myself. Besides myself, I'm a tornado hunter. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Besides myself on the trail hydrants, there's two others. There's Greg Johnson and Chris Chittick. So the guy up top, Greg, he's a photographer. He sits beside me in our storm chasing truck, and we call our storm chasing truck the Flash. So he sits beside me in Flash, and he's hanging out the window with big fancy cameras, and he's taking all the amazing storm photos I'll be showing you guys today. Chris, the guy at the bottom there, he's our videographer. So he sits in the back seat, and he gets the whole back seat to himself. This way, he can hang out the left side window or the right side window, depending where the tornado is, and he's taking all the amazing storm videos I'll be showing you guys today. Over the course of the last 3 years, we've been filming a TV show called The Tornado Hunters. And it's about a film crew that follows us up and down Tornado Alley, chasing down the biggest and baddest storms we can find. Now, a trailer for the TV show here, I'd like to show you guys.
90,000 kilometers, 200 tanks of gas, and 100 epic storms can add up to only one thing. Whoa, is that maybe two things. Tornado warning. The most colossal adventure in the history of the universe.
The shot of the century. This is Mother Nature at her best, and I love her. Tornado siren going off now.
This is a huge we call well smelt.
We gotta go.
Join Brett,
The game is on.
Ricky,
What we live for is what we chase for.
and Chris.
Get me up underneath that reggae.
They chase their way across North America on their quest to hunt down the most extreme weather on the planet.
Whoa! Look at the size of this thing now. Go, everybody in. Go.
They are the Tornado Hunters.
Tornado on the ground.
Yeah!
This again. You always make that moment.
What'd you guys think? Well, that TV show, it's on up here in Canada right now. We can only see it in Canada. You can't see it in the United States. But hopefully next year, it sounds like it'll be on in the States, and you guys should be able to see it next summer. All right, let's get into it. Let's get into this talk here. When you guys see a good rainstorm, a good lightning storm, you guys stop and watch it?
Yeah, we don't get to see
Nobody
much rain.
there has ever seen a rainstorm or a lightning storm before?
Yes.
Well,
Yeah, who else talking about?
it's been a
Okay.
while. It's been a while. I think they've forgotten what rain looks like. We saw some this morning, but California drought.
Oh, okay, sorry. So, there's two kinds of thunderstorms out there. There's regular thunderstorms, and then there's supercell thunderstorms. And as storm chasers, we need to know how to find the supercells. And do you guys see that storm picture there?
Yeah.
That's not a regular thunderstorm. That's what we call a supercell thunderstorm. So storm chasers, we need to know how to find the supercells because it's supercells that have tornadoes inside them. And once we find those supercells, once we get up beside them, we need to know what else is inside them. There's going to be lots of rain. There's going to be rain that comes down in an instant, flash flooding, washing out roads, and we need to know about that. And there's going to be hail. There's going to be big hail the size of baseballs, the size of softballs, and it's going to hit our vehicle because we're going to be going underneath that storm. So we need to know about that. And then we need to know about the tornadoes. We need to know where the tornadoes are going to sit down, where they're going to go, how long they're going to last for, how big they're going to be, and if we want to get beside them, how close can we get? It's those kind of things that we're talking about today. Has anyone ever seen Sharknado? All right, if you haven't seen these movies, if you haven't seen this movie, don't worry, you're not missing out. It's a goofy movie about a tornado that touches down the ocean, picks up some sharks, somehow they head to the city. This doesn't happen, this isn't storm chasing. Has anyone seen Twister or Into the Storm? All right, both these movies are about storm chasers, and they follow storm chasers throughout their lives as they dedicate their lives to chasing down these tornadoes. And everything you see in these movies, I've seen in real life. So things you see in these movies are like multiple tornadoes on the ground, stuff flying through the air. Everything you see in these movies, I've seen in real life. Storm chasing for myself, first and foremost, I'm on the road a lot. I spent over half a year every year on the road. In fact, this year we were 7 months straight with 3 days off. And we're often working 12 to 16 hours a day, every day chasing after these tornadoes. Tornadoes are actually very tough to find, so we're working long hours, long days looking for them. We track all over the United States and Canada looking for them. We track all over Tornado Alley, actually. Have you guys ever heard of Tornado Alley before?
No? Have you heard of
No?
tornado?
Okay. Well, Tornado Alley is this orange zone right there. You guys see that orange zone on the map there? Okay, so that orange zone, it starts off in the bottom. It starts off right in Texas, and it comes up to the center of the United States, right up into Canada. And it cuts through parts of Manitoba, Saskatchewan, Alberta, and Canada, and it comes back down. So it's much in the center of North America, really. And so this orange zone is called Tornado Alley. This is where the most tornadoes in the world happen. An average of 12 to 1,500 tornadoes a year happen in this orange zone right here. So as storm chasers, we spend all of our time tracking down tornadoes here. Now, storm chasing, I always get the question, why do you idiots do this? Why do you guys chase clouds? What's the point of doing this? Well, for us, the reason why we storm chase is we want to capture the world's most extreme imagery. That means I want to show you guys the coolest storm photos, the coolest storm videos you've ever seen. So for today, I picked a few of my favorites I wanted to show you. And my first one is this one here. Can you guys see that tornado there?
Yes.
All right, that tornado this year was the world's largest tornado this past summer. It happened up here in Canada, in a place called Tilston, Manitoba. And this tornado here was over 2 miles wide, and it is on the ground for over 3 hours. It went on and on and on, and it was huge. And we were on this tornado from start to finish, and right off the start, when we pulled up, the sky was spinning above us, and 5 fingers came down, and they're dancing around each other, and then they climbed to one big tornado and started ripping up the pavement right in front of us. And we have video of that I'd like to show you guys. What do you guys think? Cool, eh? My next favorite photo is this one here. Twin tornadoes. This is the second time in history twin tornadoes have ever happened. It's the only time in my life I'll ever get to see twin tornadoes. The first time twin tornadoes ever happened was 1965. You can see in that top picture there, it was 1965. And the second time was June 16th, this 2 summers ago, in Nebraska. So these tornadoes were on the ground for over 2 hours. And off the bat, they look like these two here. The tornadoes, within a matter of moments, a matter of seconds, can change shape and size. And an hour goes by, and there are 2 strong tornadoes on the bottom there, side by side. And then another hour went by, and they look like this here. So now we have one skinny tornado right in front of the truck, and it's dancing around one wider tornado right behind it. Do you guys see that skinny tornado? Yeah. All right, so that skinny tornado is dancing around, and this is the closest call I've ever had with lightning. As we're watching these 2 tornadoes, we see a flicker of light up in the clouds, and as soon as we see that flicker of light, we saw the lightning bolt come down, and we felt the sonic boom come off this lightning, and felt something was punching us in the chest, and it winded us. Do you guys know what it's like when you lose your breath and maybe you fall over and you lose your breath? Yeah. You get winded? That's what happened here. It felt like somebody took the breath right out of us. We saw it hit the ground, gravel went flying up into the sky, and this is the closest call I've ever had with lightning. My next favorite photo is this one here. Have you guys seen dust devils before?
Yeah,
No? You guys might get them around California a little bit.
We do.
What they are is sometimes there's winds going one way and winds going another way. And sometimes those winds will meet up with each other, they'll dance around each other. And for a few minutes, they'll circulate dust around and it'll look like a mini tornado. We call it a dust devil. And the dust devils you guys would get would be about 5, 10 feet wide, sometimes 30, 40 feet high. But down in the deserts, around Arizona area, they get some really big dust devils. They get dust devils that are 100, 200 feet wide, and some of them reach all the way up to the sky, 4, 5, 6,000 feet tall. So we're down in Arizona, checking out these dust devils, taking pictures and videos of them. And this one dust devil here you see in the picture, they started getting closer to us. And one of the guys I work with, Chris Chittick, he bet me $20 that I couldn't run inside one. So I started running.
Here he goes. Yeah. Go, Ricky.
Oh, there's one.
Go, Ricky.
Go, Ricky!
Think he's gonna get it?
Oh my God, he's tired.
Go.
Ricky!
Run.
Trying to go inside.
He's in it. That's gonna be epic footage if he's in there. Oh my God.
So unfortunately, the video stops here. As I was running into this dust storm here, this dust devil, the sand blasted my camera and it wrecked the camera enough the camera stopped recording. But all that happens after this is I take a few steps into the dust devil, I get sand in my eyes right away, I got sand in my mouth, and I stop running out my $20. And that was that. My next favorite storm photo is this one here. All right, so something we need to know today is we're talking about supercells, right? And these supercells can come down and either create tornadoes, or sometimes they'll spin out and when they push down, they'll create structures. So one of two things can happen. Either we'll get a tornado, or we'll get a structure. And this isn't a tornado, this is what we call a structure. Does that make sense? Okay, because tornadoes are dangerous and structures aren't dangerous. And this storm here, this structure is not dangerous. Now, this structure is clouds coming down out of the sky, and these clouds are moving around. They're moving around about 5 to 10 miles an hour. Not very fast, but fast enough the whole sky is rotating above your head. And we're watching this ruffled area there. Do you guys see the ruffled edge of that storm?
Yeah.
Okay, that ruffled edge, that's where the storm is breathing into itself. Air is fuel for these storms. They want to breathe in as much air as they can. All the air is rushing into the storm through that ruffled edge and eating the storm so we can keep on living and keep on growing. We're sitting here in that truck there that you see in that photo. We're sitting there in the truck and we're waiting as it's getting closer to us and closer. And we start to feel that it's breathing in air. All the air is getting sucked off the ground into the storm. It's tugging on our shirts a little bit. It ended up ripping the hat right off my head, and I watched the hat flutter up inside the storm. And then we got back inside the truck. Do you guys see that dark area inside the storm there? That's lots of rain and lots of hail. Do you guys know what hail is? Yeah, hail is big ice chunks. There's big ice chunks inside the storm that we call hail, and this storm's coming towards us, and those ice chunks can hurt. So we get inside the truck, and we wait it out. And the hail and the rain comes over top of us, and the hail starts pounding down in the truck, and it feels like somebody's punching your truck. And the windows, they start to crack. We start to get a little bit nervous, and the hail's coming down, the rain's coming down, it's coming down harder and harder, and all of a sudden, it stops. And for the first and only time ever in my storm chasing career, we're able to get out in the middle of this storm. So in the middle of the storm, we open the doors, and we step out, and it was quiet. And we look around, and we're inside the storm, we're in the middle of the storm, and we look up, and we can see it as far as I can see, about 2-3 miles. We can look up into the storm, and we can see the walls of the storm rotating around. We're right in the middle of the storm, and then all of a sudden it started to fall apart. These storms can't last forever, and at this point we're in the storm for about 5-6 hours. This storm started to fall apart on top of our heads, and everything came crashing down, so we got back inside the truck and got out of there. Now these structures, no two structures look the same. They're like snowflakes. Every structure looks different. My next favorite structure is this one here. That's pretty cool, right? Do you guys see that there's 3 plates on this structure? Yeah, we have 1 plate on top, the second plate's in the middle, and the third plate is on the bottom. Now the top 2 plates were spinning very slowly, about 5-10 kilometers an hour, not very fast, but fast enough the whole sky was spinning above our heads. But that bottom plate there, that one was going super fast. It was going about 70 to 100 miles an hour. It really looked like a UFO, like a flying spaceship. It's absolutely amazing. Do you guys see the greenish, bluish colors on the inside of it? Yeah, where those colors are coming from is sunlight comes in through the top of that storm. That sunlight bounces off the rain and hail inside that storm. And when it bounces off, the color looks green and bluish. Does that make sense? So that's the sunlight meeting up with the rain and the hail. That's what creates that color. Now, chasing after these storms, we get to see amazing lightning storms. And this is one of my favorite lightning shots here. Yeah, that's pretty cool, eh? Yeah, every good storm we go after has amazing lightning storms, and some of my favorite parts of storm chasing is the lightning storms that we get to see. Now, storm chasing, we take hundreds of thousands, millions of photos every year. We take millions of photos all to get one photo to show you guys. We throw away tons and tons of photos all to get one photo to impress you guys. We take photos and videos of absolutely everything. From the time we wake up at 7 a.m. to the time we go to bed at way past midnight, every day, we're taking photos and videos of absolutely everything, all to find one photo that you guys will like. And sometimes when we're taking photos and videos of absolutely everything, you might get something you didn't expect.
That is the coolest thing I've ever seen.
She's rescuing him.
So that video, I shot that video this past summer. We're traveling through the mountains in Canada, and as we're traveling through, I see a sign on the side of the road, and it said, it was a cardboard sign, it said, "Bears on road ahead." So I took it pretty seriously, and I got my video camera out. And we come around the next corner, and I see this baby cub sitting on the side of the road, so I started filming that, and everything else plays out as you guys see at the moment there. It comes on top, grabs the baby cub, and takes it to safety. Now I get home that night, and I wanted to share it with my family and friends. I thought it was a cool video, so I put it up on Facebook and I put it on YouTube. You guys know Facebook and YouTube? Yeah. I put it on Facebook and I put it on YouTube, and I go to bed. And I wake up the next morning and I find out that this video has blown up. And it became the most famous video in the world for 2 days. It was on every major news network across the world. It was on Ellen, the TV show. You guys know Ellen? Yeah. It's on Ellen, the whole bit. So it was a really cool experience. A video of mine that I took was shared with the world like that. Now, storm chasing, there's another reason why we storm chase besides the cool storm pictures, besides the cool storm videos. And that is to warn the public. If we're outside Los Angeles and we see a big storm coming your guys' way, we're going to call 911. We're going to call schools, we'll call police officers, we'll call anybody who will listen and say, spread the word, spread the warning. Everybody needs to take cover. Do you guys know what to do in the case that you get a tornado warning?
No, we have earthquakes. We haven't had, what do you guys think you would have to do if you heard the tornado, if we had tornadoes here?
Go in your bunkers. Go in bunkers.
They're guessing that maybe you have bungalows or something to go to. Listen. What do you do?
For sure. So a lot of people in Tornado Alley will have bunkers they can go into. So like big concrete cellars that's underground that you can climb into and you can sit there for a few hours until a storm passes by. But now there's a lot of people who don't have bunkers, and what they'll do is they'll go into their basement. and they'll go to the smallest room in their basement. That's gonna be your bathroom, your closet underneath the set of stairs. If they don't have a basement, then they'll be up on their main floor and they'll go into the bathroom or the closet or underneath the set of stairs on that main floor. And if they're outside, you have to get inside because the storms can be very dangerous. So that's how we deal with storms in Tornado Alley. So the way we spread the warnings is often by word of mouth. But some cities and towns in Tornado Alley have tornado sirens. You guys ever heard of tornado sirens before? You have? Okay. Well, in case you haven't, they sound like this.
Let's keep going.
You guys ever heard those sirens before? No? Okay. Well, those sirens are in almost every city and town that are in Tornado Alley. And they sound the sirens when there's about to be a tornado coming through their area. Do you guys see that water tower in that photo there? Okay, behind that water tower, do you see how those clouds are looking pretty low? All right, those clouds are actually spinning. You can't tell in this picture here, but those clouds are spinning, and they're spinning around, and they're what we call a wall cloud. This is the last stage before tornadoes are about to come out of the sky. And this wall cloud is spinning around, it's getting lower and lower. At any point, it's going to drop a tornado, and they're not sounding the sirens in this town. So we're calling the police officers, we're calling schools, calling anybody who will listen, and nobody's picking up. So we run to town, we find a police officer sitting in this parking lot where we're parked here, explain to him the situation, ask him to sound the sirens. He does that, then we've gone out of town. Now, if we're going to be storm chasers today, the first thing we need to know is which storms we're going after. On the left there, we have regular thunderstorms, and on the right, we have supercell thunderstorms. Can you guys see the difference between these two here? What do you think the difference is? All right, yeah, blue shirt in the front.
Yeah, go ahead, sure.
So what I see the difference is one is dark and one is light.
Yeah, absolutely. So the thunderstorms are a bit darker. Supercells are quite a bit more whiter. What else do you see?
I see one looks like a UFO and one is just like rainbow clouds.
Awesome. You nailed it. That's exactly the two answers I was looking for. So on the left, the thunderstorm, it looks pretty dark, and there's no real shape or size to it. It kind of looks like a pile of mashed potatoes, doesn't it? Yeah, well on the right, that supercell thunderstorm, it kind of looks like a bomb going off, doesn't it? And then do you guys see that disc shape across the top? It kind of looks like UFOs parked on top of that storm. That spaceship, yeah, that's what we're looking for. Supercells have a very distinct shape to them. It's very easy to tell if it looks like a supercell now because it'll have that big disc shape, that big UFO shape across the top. So being that we're talking about storm chasing today, we're talking about supercells. And the first thing we need to know about these supercells is the hail that's inside them. There's going to be lots of dangerous hail, and we need to know about that. The way that hail is made is we have a thunderstorm here. That thunderstorm's up on the screen there, and this thunderstorm, air is their fuel, air is their power. So this thunderstorm is trying to breathe in as much air as they can. That air that's going into the storm is those blue arrows. You guys see those blue arrows? Okay, that's air going into the storm, air going up into the sky, and then any water vapors or any rain droplets that get caught in those winds are going to get carried higher and higher. And those rain droplets are going to start to freeze as they get higher and higher. And sometimes those rain droplets will fall down right away as ice chunks that we call hail, or sometimes those hailstones, those ice chunks will stay up for 5, 10, 20 minutes. And when they're cycling around inside the storm, there's still winds coming up, carrying rain up higher and higher. And those rain droplets are going to hit the hailstones that are already made. And like snowballs, they're going to get bigger and bigger. And they'll become golf ball size hail, baseball size hail, up to the world's largest hail is. How big do you guys think the world's largest hail is?
20 feet high.
20 feet? Not that big, a bit
Like a
smaller.
basketball? Show with your hands. Show with your hands how big.
All right, I'm seeing some grapefruit size. Oh, there we go, basketball size. Basketball size hail. That's the world's largest hail, basketball size hail. This happened in 2010 in a place called South Dakota. They had ice chunks this big, ice chunks weighing 70 to 100 pounds, raining, rocketing out of the sky. Now, like I was saying, this happened in 2010 in South Dakota, and luckily it only hit one town. It's a town of 500 people, and they saw the storm coming in, and they did what you're supposed to do. They got everybody out and they got to safety. And it's a good thing they did because they came back, every house was destroyed, every car was flattened, the town was unrecognizable. That's how dangerous this hail was. The biggest hail I've ever experienced was grapefruit size hail. So pretty big hail, but quite a bit less weight. It weighed about 5 to 15 pounds. But we had to drive through it. It just about destroyed our vehicle. And we have video of that. Would you guys like to see that video?
So we're in Montana tracking a couple of large supercell thunderstorms. This one's got a history of producing golf ball size hail and also a couple tornado reports. And we're within just a couple of minutes of intercepting. So should be an interesting afternoon.
So that was one of the scariest moments I've ever had with hail. What'd you guys think of that video? Pretty scary, eh? Alright, we're gonna be storm chasers. We're gonna chase down tornado. We need to know how a tornado forms. And there's 5 stages to a tornado forming. The first stage is we have a thunderstorm. And this thunderstorm has lots of rain, hail, and lightning inside of it, but this thunderstorm wants to get bigger. And this thunderstorm starts breathing in air. And that's when we see those blue arrows show up. And that air starts rushing off the ground into the storm, and it starts feeding the storm more and more air. And now when this air is going up, it starts to tumble around within the storm. It's really chaotic, disorganized tumbling. But then this rotating air column shows up and it starts gathering all that air around it. And now essentially we have a tornado lying outside, up on the sky. This rotating air, it wants to get bigger. It starts collecting more and more air, and eventually this rotating air stands up, and then everything changes. And now we go from a regular thunderstorm to a supercell thunderstorm. You guys following me so far?
Yeah.
Alright, so now we have a supercell thunderstorm, and you see those blue arrows? They're feeding in that rotating air that's standing up. And it's going up through the sky, and it's feeding this thing that's called a mesocyclone. That's what we call the rotating air. We call it a mesocyclone. Some of that air kicks off the top as a disc shape that we call the anvil, and some of that air comes back down, and comes back down as a downdraft. Now this mesocyclone, that rotating red part of the storm, did you guys see that? Yeah. Alright, those red circles, that's what we're watching. Those red circles, that mesocyclone, it wants to get bigger. And it starts pushing out the top, then it's going to start pushing out the bottom. That's when it pushes out what we call a wall cloud. Did you guys see that wall cloud show up on the bottom? If you look back one slide here, you see how there's no wall cloud on the bottom?
Oh, yeah. I can't see anything.
And now we see that wall cloud pop up on the bottom. And then that wall cloud, it's spinning around, it's getting lower and lower, and eventually it's going to drop down a tornado. And that's when we see that. Now that's a quick version. Does that kind of make sense to you guys how a tornado happens? Yeah. Was that yes or no? Yes. Okay, cool. Perfect. All right, so this process of a tornado coming to be is what we call the supercell process. It's very tough to videotape it. There's only a few videos in history that have ever caught the supercell process. And I have one of those videos here with me today that I wanted to show you guys. It's one of my favorite videos. All right, so we can see the storm here. It's looking pretty messy, but it will get better. We can see it's breathing in air into the storm. We're about an hour into a 12-hour process right now. Still pretty messy. It will get better. It's breathing in lots and lots of clouds. Do you see all those clouds going into that storm? Now we're about 4 hours into a 12-hour process. It's looking pretty good, but it will get better actually. What do you guys think of that video? Well, it's one of my favorite storm chasing videos. All right, if we're going to be storm chasers, if we're going to chase tornadoes, we need some tornado lingo. We need to know what to call these tornadoes when we see them. And the first kind of tornado is a rope tornado. And it looks like a rope tornado in the sky, doesn't it? Yes, call it a rope tornado. And when that rope tornado starts getting bigger, we then call it a cone tornado. If that cone tornado starts getting a little bit bigger, call it a stovepipe tornado. If that stovepipe tornado starts getting bigger, we then call it a wedge tornado. Do you guys see those twin tornadoes I was showing you earlier? These are the twin tornadoes halfway through the life cycle, at the height of the life cycle, and there were two wedge tornadoes side by side. Now this is as big as a tornado gets. If those wedge tornadoes, if they got double the size or 3 times the size, we still call it a wedge tornado. My favorite kind of tornado is a water spout tornado. So sometimes tornadoes are going to happen over top of land. Sometimes tornadoes will happen over top of water. And sometimes tornadoes will happen over top of fires. And when that happens, we see this. Fire-nado, yeah. Yeah, actually, you know what this photo is from? This photo is from California last summer. Yeah, you guys had some wildfires, and there were some tornadoes that showed up, and this photo came out of California last summer. Now, before we call a tornado, we call it a funnel. For a tornado to be a tornado, we need to see movement up in the clouds, we need to see movement on the ground, and we need to see connection between the two. Until that point, we just call it a funnel. And these structures I've been showing you guys today, the way these structures form is, if you guys remember this diagram here, Remember how the mesocyclone is wrapped up on one side of the storm? Sometimes that mesocyclone will expand the whole width of the storm, and when it pushes down, then the whole bottom of the storm is now rotating around, and it looks something like this here. Does that make sense? Yeah? Cool. All right, and the way that we rate these tornadoes is on a scale called the Enhanced Fujita scale, the EF scale. This is how we rate how big tornadoes are. So we rate tornadoes on a scale of EF0 to EF5. EF0 being the smallest, EF5 being the biggest. So we rate tornadoes on wind speeds and on damage. So if you get a tornado that has wind speeds, it's a small tornado that has wind speeds around 100 kilometers an hour, and it might knock the shingles off the roof or knock down a tree, well, we'll give it an EF0 rate, not very big. But if we get a tornado that has wind speeds around 300 kilometers an hour, very big, large, dangerous tornado, and it does some pretty devastating damage, it can knock down buildings, well, we'll give it an EF4, EF5 rate. The world's largest tornado, the biggest tornado ever to happen, happened 2 years ago in Oklahoma, and it was over 2.6 miles wide. A tornado as far as you could see, you couldn't tell where it started and stopped. And we were caught inside of it. And we have video of that. Would you guys like to see that?
It's coming right at us here, guys. Just wait 2 more seconds. Stay right there. Okay, go. All of a sudden, the tornado makes a hard right turn. And now it's making the southeast bearing right towards us. And the really scary part about this is we got vehicles behind us, and the vehicles in front of us, they were going too slow. And our outlet was blocked. Here's a pump in here, guys. Go, Ricky. We're in the circulation right now. We're in the circulation. Debris starts flying towards the truck. Debris! Debris! Coming up! Coming up! Oh my God! Oh my God! Keep going, Ricky. Keep going. Why is this guy stopping?
I knew we had to do some traffic, and that's where I hit the ditch. The ditch what I saw was about 5-6 feet deep. It's a V shape, and you go to the place for a truck. But it's the last resort.
I don't know whether Ricky did it on purpose, whether it was a matter of him consciously turning the wheel, or whether we got blown, but we ended up in the left side of ditch. There was a couple times where we literally, all 4 wheels off the ground, we had full air.
So a ditch that we're going down there, that was this ditch here. Can you see our tire tracks in the ditch there? Yeah, that was the ditch that we're going down. You can see the farmyards that were beside us that were getting ripped apart. Something you can't see in the video is you guys see those hay bales there? Those hay bales were flying through the sky about 40, 50 feet up in the air, like snowballs, way up in the sky, flying through the sky, and we were terrified one of them was going to hit us. These farmyards are getting ripped apart, they're blowing up, disintegrating, steel and wood is flying into us, and then all of a sudden, this 2-ton grain farm truck, this farm truck right here, came flying, helicoptering through the sky, and it landed right in front of us. And we're just barely able to dodge that, get back up on the gravel road, and we're out of the tornado. We were inside the tornado for just over a minute. It was one of the most terrifying minutes of my life. All right. Thank you guys for sitting through storm chaser training. I would now like to show you guys how we forecast, how we find these tornadoes. The way that we find these tornadoes, first we look at forecasts like these. Have you guys seen forecasts like these before? Yeah? Okay, well this is a forecast for up here in Canada a few weeks ago when we were storm chasing. And what this forecast is showing us is the yellow area says non-severe storms. According to the legend on top, it says non-severe. So the yellow area is just rain. What we're interested in as storm chasers is the red and then the dark red. And if I was making my forecast off of this forecast alone, I would want to go and park this right in the middle of the deep red, and that's right below Regina. Do you guys see what I'm talking about?
No.
Does that make sense? I would park right below Regina there. It's right in the middle of that deep red spot. That's where we are best bet at seeing tornadoes. But before we make a decision on where we're going to track down this range, we look towards something called our weather radars. And this helps us pinpoint where the storms are. So now this is overlaid on where that forecast is saying. So now we're seeing where are the storms actually happening. And this is telling us where storms are now and where they're going to be an hour from now. So we see that one big storm system, lots of green and a bit of red. Now all that green, that's very light to heavy rain, there's lots and lots of rain. Now there's lots of red inside of it, and the red is what we're interested in storm chasers. We want to be in that red area, because those are the storms that might have tornadoes. Now right off the bat, I like the bigger storm on the right-hand side just because there's more red, but there's a lot of rain. And if we go after that storm, it's going to be very dangerous, and it's going to look a lot like this. Now, that's too much rain for me. That's dangerous. We're going to be driving through rain for hours and hours. And if we ever get to see a tornado, we're going to have to be right beside that tornado because there's going to be so much rain. If we have another option, I would rather choose the one that has less rain. You guys see the one on the left-hand side that has a lot less rain on it?
Yeah.
Do you see that storm system on the bottom left-hand corner?
Yeah.
Yeah? That's the storm that I would rather go after, just because there's a lot less rain. So we're going to go after that storm, and when we pull up, this is what we see. You see a beautiful supercell blowing up. And do you guys know why this is a supercell?
Do you guys know what?
No? Well, this is a supercell. We know it's a supercell because we see that big dish shape across the top, that big UFO shape. Does that make sense? All right, so this is the storm that we're looking for. Storm chasers, we're really excited. Now we want to get underneath this storm. So we drive into the storm, and as we're driving underneath the storm, we need to find out where that tornado is going to be. So we look towards something that's special to storm chasers, a radar that's special to us, and this is called the wind velocity radar. And on this radar, the green is winds coming towards us, the red is winds going away from us, and we want to find out where those winds meet up, and that right there, where the green meets the red, that's where the tornado could be. So storm chasers, we get really excited. We're driving underneath this storm, and we're going to pop out right underneath this green and red part. And when we get there, we show up, and there's no tornado just yet. That's okay. We have a beautiful wall cloud lowering down. This wall cloud is spinning around faster and faster. At any point, it's going to drop a tornado. So as storm chasers, we want to get a little bit closer, and this is what happens.
Right up nice and close like now.
And that's what it's like to be a storm chaser. Now, the last part I want to tell you guys about is the truck that gets us in and out of these storms. And that's our fourth teammate that we call the Flash. Now, there's a few things on the Flash to make it different than a regular pickup. First, it's bulletproof. We have a bulletproof truck because if we're near a tornado and it throws any steel or wood or anything at us, we don't want it coming into the body of the truck and hurting us, or into the engine of the truck and stopping us altogether. So that's the first thing we have is a bulletproof truck. The second best part is our roll cage. We have steel roll cage that connects over top. Do you guys see that orange tubing on the truck? Yeah, that orange tubing wraps all the way around the truck, underneath, over top, and it acts as an exoskeleton for us. So if we ever roll the truck side over side or end over end, we'll be protected inside of that truck. Then we have spotlights on the truck, 360 degrees all the way around the truck, because when we're chasing these storms, it gets very dark inside these storms, so we need these spotlights to see where we're going. Besides that, we have off-road rims, tires, and suspension, so we can hit the ditches and track after these trails wherever they go. All right, well, thank you guys very much for sitting through Storm Chaser training. You guys were an awesome group. Do we have time for questions?
Teachers, are we good? Awesome. Yeah, this is fascinating. Thank you so much, Mr. Ford. Yes, we definitely have questions. We will go ahead. And why don't we do this? If you have a question, we'll do about 6 questions. So Hugo, go ahead. Teachers, if you can send me 6 questions, I'm here. That'd be awesome. Hugo, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Hugo, and my question is, when did you start storm hunting?
That's a good question, Hugo. I started storm chasing 4 years ago, and I've seen 85 tornadoes so far.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Can you introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is
Hello.
who encouraged you to be a tornado hunter?
Who encouraged me to be a tornado hunter? Well, nobody in particular. It was 4 years ago that I went storm chasing. I was 25 years old at the time, and I saw my first tornado, and I was hooked. When you see the pictures and videos of tornadoes, they look pretty cool, right? Yeah, when you get to see that in person, it's pretty amazing, and it's addicting, and I've been going back ever since. Yeah.
Okay, here comes another question.
Have you ever been injured or hurt chasing a tornado?
That's a good question. I've never been injured or hurt chasing a tornado. One of the guys on our team, though, Chris Chide, he actually got hit with a hailstone right in his side when a window broke out, and he got a big bruise, but that's the biggest injury we've ever had.
Thank goodness. What does your family think of your career?
They're not super excited about it, but they understand it's what I love to do, so.
Okay,
When was your favorite thunderstorm ever happen?
My favorite thunderstorm ever, well, my favorite storm chase ever would have to be the twin tornadoes. Remember the twin tornadoes?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the only time ever in my life that's going to happen, so that's been my favorite, yeah.
Hi, my name is Marina.
Hello.
My question is, isn't it scary to see a tornado?
That's a very good question. And it is very scary to see a tornado. In fact, every time I'm scared, but that's what I enjoy the most, is being scared and having to work through that and go after something that scares me that much.
Hi, my name is Michelle, and what is your goal as a tornado hunter?
That's a good question, Michelle. My goal as a tornado hunter is to get as close as I can to the biggest tornadoes out there. I want to get photos and videos of these storms to show you sides of the storm that you never get to see, because nobody else has those kind of pictures. So I want to push the limits farther than anybody else to get the best pictures and the best videos out there.
Say thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, last question.
Hi, my name is Danielle,
Hello.
and my question is, how often do you chase storms?
That's a really good question. How often we chase storms? Well, we spend over half a year chasing storms. And like I was saying, this past year we spent 7 months on the road. So over half the year we're chasing storms. And we chase storms every day when we're out storm chasing. Yeah, you are welcome.
All right, that was really incredible. Thank you so much, Mr. Forbes. What do you guys say?
Thank you.
Thank you. That was fabulous. We'll be in touch. Thank you.
Sounds good. See you.
Okay, bye.